Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Hero Lab Intro to the Editor seminar. I'm going to be giving you the basic outline of how to create your own content in Hero Lab. If we have time, then I will hopefully get into some intermediate subjects like specifics of coding, but I'm going to focus on giving you guys a solid foundation of the basics of how the editor's set up and where you can go to look at various things, get inspiration for your own code. Oh, dear. So first I'm going to give an introduction of myself. My name is Aaron Beal. I am a data file author for Lone Wolf Development, which means that I do things like program new content into Hero Lab, the Occult Adventures book, which dropped a couple days ago. Part of that was my work. I also do some limited user interface stuff, like designing new tabs and new systems in the program. The Mythic rules were a big project of mine, armies, buildings and organizations from Ultimate Campaign, that kind of thing. So that's what I do, but I want you all to know that I'm not anybody special, and I actually don't have any formal training in like programming or anything like that either. I went to school for a genetics degree. I was going to go into the sciences.
There you go.
Yeah, but my hobby of coding things for Hero Lab in the meantime for community use got the better of me, and so I was hired on full time. And if I can do it, I'm sure you can do it. If you're worried about not having programming experience, don't worry about it. Anybody. All right, so I assume that you're all familiar with using Hero Lab, so I'm just going to skip through here and we're going to go straight to the editor. The editor, in case you didn't know, is available here from the Tools menu, Show Editor. It pops up this window, and then you'll want to either open an existing data file that you have, or since we don't have one yet, we're going to start a new one. And we will save it with whatever name you want it to. We'll call this Seminar Test. All right, so the editor looks a little bit complicated, right? You got all these tabs at the top. Well, think of it as a modern browser, like Firefox, Internet Explorer. They've all got tabs which you switch around to do different things. Hero Lab has groups of tabs at the top to organize things a little bit more, and then sub-tabs which represent each different kind of thing in Hero Lab. So for example, an animal trick is one kind of thing in Hero Lab, so it's got its tab. Deities, they're a different kind of thing with their own requirements. It's got its own tab. All right. Now, before I go further into the editor, I'd like to go over a little bit of the basic terminology, which I gave you guys a handout for. You guys are in luck, because last year I didn't have these ready for my last audience. So, one thing to keep in mind about Hero Lab is that it's made of two kinds of things. Things and picks. Things are sort of the concept of a certain item that can be added to your character. A thing could be a torch, right? But once you actually add it to your character, it becomes a pick, is what we call it. Things in general can't be affected by anything other than what you give it when you create it. And then once it's added to your character, then it can be manipulated by other stuff, and it can manipulate other stuff on your character. Next, unique IDs. Everything in Hero Lab needs to have its own special identifier so that it knows the identity of it and how that thing is set up. The hero is every character. It's also a context. So the hero can have tags and other things assigned to it. It can be manipulated, but it's also a container on which you put everything in your hero, like class levels, feats, drawbacks. Everything that goes onto your character is in the hero. Tags are kind of like sticky notes. They're things that you put on a pick or a thing, which define what kind of pick or thing that is, and can also define behaviors. So for example, weapons. There's different kinds of weapons in Pathfinder. Are most people familiar with Pathfinder? Yeah. Okay, so there's two-handed weapons in Pathfinder, there's one-handed weapons in Pathfinder, there's light weapons in Pathfinder. All of those are represented by different tags. And these tags, if you're looking for a certain kind of weapon, you can filter based on the tags. So you only assign a damage bonus, for example, to two-handed weapons or something like that. Like I said, think of them as sticky notes. They can be added, they can be removed, they can trigger certain behaviors, or they can identify what kind of thing this is. And then the other major building group of building block of Hero Lab picks is fields. Fields are two types. There's text fields, like the name is a field, so that stores a string of letters. And then there's value fields, which store a single number. And both of these types of fields can be changed and manipulated from other scripts elsewhere on the computer. Okay. Eval scripts are exactly how you have one thing change another thing in Hero. So eval scripts can add or remove tags. They can change field values. They can hide stuff by applying tags. They can trigger effects on the hero level. And then last of our basic terminology before we get into the structure of the seminar is a bootstrap. A bootstrap is a connection between two things, so that when you add the first thing, the second thing is also added. For example, the Ranger class, they get endurance as a bonus feat, right? So we have a class ability which bootstraps the Ranger feat, or the endurance feat, and then when you add the class ability to the hero, then the feat is also added because of that bootstrap. It is, however, only one direction. Adding this class ability always adds the endurance feat, but adding the endurance feat does not add the class ability. All right, now that we've got all that dry stuff out of the way, let's burrow down into the specifics. We're going to start off with a basic explanation of these different parts of the editor. I already talked about the tabs at the top and how they represent different things. We're going to start at the feet tab, which is part of general. You can see on the left side here, this column where it says unique ID and name. This is what displays what you've got defined in this current file that you're working on. So as you create more feats, you should see new entries be added here with a unique ID, which we talked about. That has to be different from every other thing in Hero Lab, and a name, which does not have to be unique. It can be shared between different things in Hero Lab. For example, feats and mythic feats often have the same name, even though they're different things. They have different unique IDs with the same thing. This part up here, this is kind of where you fill in the details of the left column. Add a name to your item, give it a unique ID, set its uniqueness. Uniqueness is how often this thing can be added to a particular hero. The default is add once. I would say usually stick with that. You can also switch it to no, which means that you can add this thing as many times as you want to the hero. Unique is very similar to add once, but slightly different. I would say it's safer usually to use add once. The central big box there, right here, is the description text box. So if you're creating a feat or whatever, this is where you put the description of that feat. And then the right side over here, you can see there's a series of blue buttons. These relate to what I was talking about earlier, fields and tags and bootstraps are the most important elements. And then we also have here a couple ones that I'd like to put to your attention. Eval scripts, that's where you'll do most of your coding. Pulls up something like this. Eval rules, picrecs, and eval rules, exparecs, and prerecs are all ways of enforcing rules in Hero Lab. So, for example, power attack feat requires that you have strength 13. So that would be an exparec. Here you would type a little line of code that says we need strength 13. And we'll get into the coding later, like I said. Now, the central area below the description, this varies based on what type of thing that you're creating, because every different type of thing has its own set of behaviors that it needs to define and tags that can be applied and things like that. I'm not going to go over each of these lines individually, but I'll give you a overview. So on the left side, there's a name of this particular line. In the middle, there's usually either a button or a selector. A selector is something like this, where you click on it and it opens up a drop down. You can choose something. And then there's also and then on the right side, there's an info button. Just like in Hero Lab, if you want to know more information about a particular thing, then click on the info button. It'll pop up a short description. Not all of them are as helpful as they could be, but some of them will give you a good explanation of what this particular line is for. So, for example, counts as feats. This is a way to have one feat count as another feat for the purposes of prerequisites. So I know there's a couple feats in Pathfinder that count as dodge for the purpose of meeting prerequisites, even though they aren't dodge. You would select them here. Another thing that I'd like to draw your attention to is this button at the bottom, sources. Sources are how you set up ways to turn on or turn off your content. You can, when you define different things, you can give them a special source that you would like them to have. And then when you open up a hero in the configure hero settings, you can turn on your source, then you'll see your new content. But if, for example, you run multiple campaigns and maybe they have different rules, different things that are available to them, then you can only turn those on for the campaigns that apply for that particular thing. You can also see this is the same button that we use to add sources for the various packages that are available in here. All right, so let's actually make something. We'll leave this. We're going to make a new blank feed. I have here sample feed. I taught putty tag is the feed that we're going to be working on today. And I have taken the liberty of making up the text for it. I'm going to paste that so you don't have to watch me type this out, but I'll read it for everybody in case anybody can't see at the back. 3 times per day, when summoning creatures, you summon an equal number of illusory copies, but you take a -1 penalty to all saves while these are in existence. All creatures summoned, both real and illusory, take on a feline aspect. Upon interacting with these creatures, foes get a will save to recognize them as unreal at a DC of 10 plus half your character level plus your charisma modifier. Now there's several parts of this that we want to represent in Hero Lab, right? Can anybody tell me what you think probably should be represented in Hero Lab?
Minus your save.
Minus the saves, that's one thing.
The DC calculation.
DC calculation. And probably times per day, right? So those are the 3 things that we're going to handle. So most of those have got things that already are set up to handle them. For example, the uses per day, there's a whole section here called charge information. And This is a standard section. It's available across multiple different types of things. Class abilities, custom specials, even gear that's expendable can have charge information. So we want to show this in the tracked resources list, so you check that box. When I check that box, did you notice the tags button in the upper right changes from ×1 to ×2? That's because we just added a tag. Click on this, you can see the tag that we just added is at the bottom, user tracker. Tags have two different parts to them, the tag group and the tag ID. So this is a user tag, and the specific tag it is the tracker tag.
If you manually added that tag, would it check the box for you down there?
Yes, it would. All of these boxes in the middle are conveniences to make it easier and clearer for users. But if you know what you're doing, then you could do everything specifically through these tags. Through this button, I guess. We don't have automatic calculations, but we just have a base number. So base charges, this is 3. When we added that, it popped up something in the field value. Now we can see, this 3 went into the track max, TRK max field. All right. So that must be the field which stores how many uses per whatever period we have on. And most of these fields are the same throughout different types of things. We try and reuse the same fields when we can. So that'll be the same in class specials and everything else. And then usage period, here's a drop down. There's a lot of these, and you can define your own if you ever come across something weird, like pages. I wonder what has a certain number of pages in use. But the most common ones are usually at the bottom, which is per day or rounds per day or minutes per day. So we pick per day, and that's that. Now let's do the standard BC. Now it says we get a will, or the enemy gets a will save to recognize at 10 plus half your character level plus your charisma modifier. That's the standard DC. Like almost everything has a DC like that. Racial abilities, class abilities, feats for the most part, unless they're weird like stunning critical, which has a DC based on your base attack bonus. Not spells either. So, like I said, tags can trigger behavior. Here we've got standard DC tags. You can choose amongst these different options. We want charisma modifier. And since this has the standard DC HA tag, now there's a script that will automatically calculate the DC for you. You don't have to write an eval script for it. Right? And then last, we have the activation. Let's think. What else has like an activation? Something that you turn on in Hero Lab that does something. Power attack. All right, that's a good example. We have to save this first though. So what should we call this? We should give it a unique ID before we save it.
ITTPT.
ITTPT. Okay, ITTPT. Unique IDs are sometimes hard to give good ones to. You generally want it to be clear enough that you can understand what it is when you're looking at the unique ID. So ITTP probably wouldn't be my first pick, but I understand.
ITTP.
But if you don't already know about the existence of this feat, you might not get that. All right, so we've saved this. Let's look at power attack. This is one of the most powerful things about Hero Lab. Its ability to let you look at existing content and then pull information from that content for your own scripts. On the lower left here, we already used the new blank button to create a new feat. Here's the next one over is new copy. This is a really important button. Click on that. It pops up a list of every thing of this type. So every feat which has been defined in Hero Lab. Some Some of them are black, and some of them are gray. The black ones are ones that are part of the core and are freely available. You can copy them and modify them and save them directly. The gray ones are things that are defined in particular packages outside the core. And while you can copy and look at them, you cannot modify and save them. If you wanted to do that, we would be a little bit annoyed by that if you copied everything that was in a source and saved it. Also of note is whenever you're looking at one of these pop-up windows, they have filtering now, which is great because we didn't have this last year that I remember. My boss added this and I thank him so much. So let's look for power attack. All right, and like I said, you can see two different power attacks here, but they have different unique IDs. This is why unique IDs can be important. So FMY Pow Attack is the mythic version of power attack, and FPower At is the normal version of power attack. So now we've got a copy of power attack. We want to look at its eval scripts to see something about how it's activated, right? Open up the eval script button. We've got this first one is at post level 5000. It has some field values which are being added to based on the number of a base attack bonus divided by 4, rounded, blah, blah, blah. Second one. I don't think that has to do with what we're looking for, which is activations. The next one, this looks promising. Look, there's a field abil active. That might have something to do with what we're looking for. And there's also, we know what power attack does, right? It gives you a penalty to attack. This is attack, attack melee penalty, minus some value, so that's a penalty to attack, and a bonus to damage. Damage, T-dam power, plus some value. So the important part about this, since we're not adding bonuses to attack or damage, but they could be, is the abil active and adding some value. So make a copy of this, copy. Also make note of when it's being run. The phase and the priority are when eval scripts occur. So they're the ordering of eval scripts. Post attributes is anything that happens after you've calculated your attribute modifiers. Post levels is anything after you've calculated your levels. First is the first one. Pre-levels, they kind of make sense. The big demarcations are levels and attributes being pre and post that. Final is the last calculation phase. Render is pretty much when you want to change the names or appearances of things. So applying situational modifiers and stuff. So we made copies here. Just make sure I did copy. Cancel. Go back to our original feet. Open up another eval script. Boom. So now we've posted what we got from power attack here. Let's give it the same phase and priority that it had before, post attributes, 10,000. And we've got the done if here. And we want to add a penalty to saves. Now this is something where you'll slowly get information that will help you master stuff. We have this penalty here, and we have it directed at the attack. We're not adding a bonus to anything, so we'll just delete the second bit. What we need to add to instead of attack is a different pick on the hero. The pick that says these are your saves, right? Instead of these are your attacks, which it's currently to. Okay? So how do we know what that pick is? Well, if you go back to Hero Lab and you go to the Develop menu and you click Enable Data File Debugging, that will open up several new options for you to get more information, including down here floating info windows. And we're looking for the thing that has to do with saves. So let's look at Show Selection Fields. This will show you a list of every pick on the hero. Not all of these picks, obviously, are something that you see on your character. Some of them are background stuff. but this also has filtering. So let's look for save. All right, so we've got all saves, fortitude save, reflex save, will save, mythic save. Which of those sounds like what we need for our feat?
All saves.
All saves. All right, so we click on that.
Just a question on that search and filter.
Yeah,
Does it search the name, or does it search the ID, or does it search both?
search both.
That's good.
All right, so all saves. We can see that the unique ID of the all saves pick is SV all, save all. And so that's probably what we need to point our script at. So replace a tag with the unique ID of the thing that we just looked up, save all. And ATM penalty, you don't know this, but you probably get an error if you try this, because ATM penalty is a field that doesn't exist on saves. ATM means attack melee, so it's for like weapons and attack type stuff. So we need to know what's the appropriate field to add a penalty to.
The field going to be like the bonus type or penalty type if it has a type.
Right. So in this case, it's an untyped penalty, so we need to find the appropriate field for that. Fortunately, we pulled up a list of all fields on SVAll. Here's all of them. There's bone out, bone, bonus, mod, cert, pen, penalty. Here's the different kinds of penalties, and here's the untyped penalty. It's just called penalty. Oh, that's easy to remember.
Can you copy out of that pop-up?
No, you cannot, unfortunately. That would be useful, though. You can copy debug messages, though. That's just a different window. I'll take that under advisement. Maybe I could get my boss to do that for us.
That would be awesome.
All right, so we've now got the majority of our eval script done. We just need it to show on the activated abilities list, right? There's a section for that too. Here in the central column, if you go down, activation information, show in activated abilities list. That added a tag. Let's save. We will, well, I want to show you an error first, so hold on a second. So we've got most of our stuff done. Now we have to test it, right? Before you can test something in HeroLab, it needs to be integrated into the existing structure of HeroLab. So in the upper left, we have a test now button. You can also do the same thing by closing and reloading the system, or if you've got enabled data file debugging on, you can quick reload with Control-R. Especially if you're making a lot of things at once, then Control-R is a lot easier than loading everything with test now one at a time. But since we've only got one thing, we'll use test now. And we use test now, it saves the latest version of the file too.
Got that power attacks in there.
You caught the error that I'm showing everybody. So it's currently compiling, and it says, it gives us this error here, seminar test.user thing invalid unique ID F ? For attribute ID. So that's because we forgot to delete our power attack example here. So delete that. Save it again. Yes.
Sorry, I was responding to a message on my iPad. Are you using JavaScript when you are writing scripts in these? Do you have that level of editing capability or no?
It's not JavaScript, no. It's its own like unique thing here.
Okay.
It's unfortunate.
You created it yourself.
I didn't.
Well,
create
it's been created.
but it has been evolved from, I believe, like XML and C. Like the core stuff is like C++, and most of this is XML that I'm working in. All right, so let's try testing it now. Actually, I saw another error there, which means that I might have to switch the game system we're working in. We'll see.
I have a question.
Sure.
For the unique ID, is there any symbols or characters we can't use?
You cannot use question marks, dashes. There are I don't remember them off the top of my head. I know underscores are okay, I think.
Spaces?
Spaces? No, you cannot use spaces.
We use tiny Unicode. Like really obscure stuff on like.
I don't think so.
So it's probably just alphanumeric in some punctuation.
Probably. All right, so I'm actually going to have to switch to game system real quick. Switch game system because I'm getting an error. Okay. File, tools, show editor. It remembers your most recent thing, so we'll go back to seminar test. It's in the wrong folder. All right, new lesson. So, if you want to find out where your user files are being saved, you can do that by going to Tools, yes, Tools, Explore Folder, User Data Folder, and then that will take you to this part, which is, oh, that's not right, Tools, Explore Folders, Program Data Folder. There we go. And then go into the data thing, and you should have, well, you should have just one single folder here for Pathfinder. I've got several different versions of the Pathfinder folder because I work in multiple sections. So open the standard one, copy your user file, just remember what you saved it, copy. And then if you need to put it somewhere else, like for example on a friend's computer, if you're giving them your work so that they can make characters on their computer, paste it into the same file. All right, now we will reload this so that the file can be integrated into the current system that we're using.
But just moving to a different directory, that's a little dangerous if the two systems aren't compatible, right?
If you move a file from one game system, like a user file from one game system to another game system that doesn't have the same fields, which is every other game system, then it'll probably give you a bunch of errors about this field doesn't exist, these tags aren't defined, and then that'll cause the second game system to load in safe mode without any user files. But it won't break anything. You just won't have access to user stuff in the new game system. All right, so show editor. We want Pathfinder name.
Can you create multiple user files?
You can. You can create as many user files and organize them however you like. For example, you get to see my very messy desktop. I'm sorry, I would have cleaned if I knew I was going to have company. But I've got these 4 files. Aaron's homebrew mechanic, Aaron's custom files, Aaron's expanded skill descriptions, and Aaron's secret custom files. For stuff that I don't share with my players. All right, back to the testing. That was a long way around, but we're back to testing our example feat. It should be integrated because we reloaded the game system. Let's try and add it. So, feats. I taught. There we go. I taught putty tag. Add close. We can see that it's got the uses per day, 3 per day here. It's also got the DC calculated. We go to the in-play tab. Let's see if it works. Our saves are currently 0, 0, 0. Nothing happened. Oh, we forgot something. Let's check that out. So, open this, eval script. All right, so we've got this information correct. We figured that out. What about this second part? Minus equals field app value dot value.
You didn't set the value.
Yeah, we didn't set the value, right? So assuming that you know what value you want to set, what field, you can just go directly to the fields thing. And the name of the field was app value. And the number that we wanted to apply, it's a minus equals, remember. So it's 1. If it was a plus equals, then it would be negative 1. And really, either one works, depending upon what you would prefer. All right, so now, test now. This will update the feed with the latest changes we've made to it. You guys are a very engaged group. I'm glad. All right, should be working now. All right, let's try it again. 0, 0, 0. Turn it on. -1, -1, -1.
Yay.
It's very important that you test things that you create. Not only will it let you catch obvious errors like this, it'll give you confidence that things that you build upon it subsequently will modify it well. Yes?
How do you do things like, bonus types that don't stack? Meaning the highest one wins.
Highest one wins. That would be using what's called a macro. A macro is a special bit of code that starts with a £. So apply bonus, then the field that you want to apply the bonus to, bone morale, and then the target that you're applying the bonus to. So in this case, hero, child, save all. And then you want the value that you're applying. So field add value, dot value. This is going to change it to a bonus algorithm. You can also comment things out, like temporarily we're going to comment this out with a tilde. So that'll prevent that entire thing from being applied. Save, test now. Macros are actually something in the intermediate coding section. I was hoping we'll get to it. But hey, I'm flexible. We can hop around. All right, let's see if it's applying a morale bonus. 0, 0, 0. Turn it on. 1, 1, 1. What kind of bonus is it? +1 morale. Okay, so that's how we create a new thing. Let's talk about modifying existing things, because customization is a big part of all role-playing games. Everybody's got house rules and stuff, right? Oops. Let's modify something that fighters get. I like fighters, but I feel that in my game, fighters aren't cool enough. Like they don't get all the bonuses that the spellcasters and the maguses get. So maybe I want to buff fighters a little bit. And one of the abilities that fighters get that is iconic is bravery, right? But bravery only applies versus fear saves. So in my campaign, I say, well, that's not strong enough. It's going to apply versus fear saves and all mind affecting effects, which are pretty common. So that's a good buff. So bravery is a class ability. It's something added by a class. So we want to go to the class super tab. That changes these sub-tabs here. It's a class special. Now we're going to copy bravery. Sea Fighter Brave. Remember this unique ID. And it is black, because it's something from the core rulebook. So you can just copy and modify it directly. So save that. We're going to change the description versus against fear and mind affecting effects. Did I use affecting an effect correctly? Sometimes I get those confused. We need to give it a different unique ID than the original. So the last one was Fighter Brave, FTR. That's standard, various standardized beginnings to different unique IDs for example, class abilities and classes have standards. And we will call this Brave 2. Just has to be different. It doesn't have to be that different. Now let's look at the eval script. Oh, we should change the summary too. Look at the eval scripts. This is an eval script which adds some value, which is probably going to be applied later. it's equal to the X count, which is the number of times you've gained this ability. Don't expect you to know that right from the start, but we'll learn eventually. Second one, it's got some lines that change the list name and the summary of the ability, which I guess changing the summary there wasn't going to work then. And mind. And then a couple of done ifs, which are stops. Like I said earlier, tags can trigger behavior. We saw that with the standard DC stuff, but here's another example. This tag here, helper spec disable, is a way to stop something from continuing before it has an effect on the hero. So it says, if we have this particular disable tag, then don't do anything further. You can apply that to stop things. Now here's the important part. Here's a macro, like we talked about earlier. It's the situational macro, which starts with whatever you're targeting will, then some value. This is actually not sure the technical term for it. It's like rounding, signed, and stuff like that. It's a way to manipulate strings and values. And versus fear and mind effect. All right. So we've done just about everything. We've got our new version of Brave, but we want it to be used in all the places that the old version of Brave were used. Not only like for the fighter, but for any archetype for a different class which adds the Brave ability. We want it to be used there too. So that's why we have this important thing here called replaces thing ID. Sweet. Copy the unique ID of the original, which we remember, Sea Fighter Brave, that was the original. Put it in there. Now, once we reload the system, as a matter of fact, I'm going to give it a slightly different name just to make it clearer. Bravery Enhanced. Alright, now reload the system, let it compile, and we'll add a level of fighter, and we should see our new Bravery Enhanced ability there. Replaces thing ID is something that's very useful for your home game, but I would say use it with caution because it completely replaces the original, and while we make changes to the original, they're not inherited by your new thing. So if something's broken and we fix it and you've replaced it, you won't get the fix.
Do you have a way of deriving an object from another object in here? Okay.
I mean, sort of.
Okay.
Not as far as the editor goes. There's specific behaviors that certain containers can have where they pull tags from whatever object you put inside of them and then mimic that object.
Okay.
The most common example is like magic weapons.
Right.
So when you get a +1 sword, it is effectively the same as a long sword with some changes. So what we do is we've got that container, we add a long sword, it pulls the tags from that, and it's treated as a long sword thereafter. Okay, so fighter. Let's make sure our stuff worked. Oh, the list name was the same, but the live name is still Bravery Enhanced. Starting with second level, fear and mind affecting effects increases appropriately. Let's add a couple more levels just to make sure that the situational works okay. And now we've got this will situational +1 versus fear and mind affecting. So it's just that simple, right?
Can you go backwards, like go in and search to find out what the original bravery name was, and then using that tag, go back and reverse it? Does that make sense what I'm saying? How you found, you replace it with the enhanced bravery? Can you go back into the original file?
You can make a copy and, you're saying like undo the replacement?
Undo the replacement.
Okay, to undo the replacement, all you would have to do is go back to the thing that's replacing and then delete this. And then there would be 2.
Beautiful.
Yes.
Could you also put it in its own source book and then just disable the source book for this character and have it go back to the original?
No, because replacements happen at the very first opportunity. They happen before all other eval scripts.
So even if you disable the source script on the character configuration screen?
Yes, what would happen then is the replacement already happened,
Okay.
and then you gave this source to the replacement thing.
Uh-huh.
So the replacement thing wouldn't show, which would result in you having no.
No bravery. Okay. Interesting. Thank you.
All right. So we've covered that. Let's talk a little bit about tying different things together. A lot of things in Pathfinder, especially, make use of different disparate elements. We're going to make a race, a very simple one, a quick one. So go to the race tab. Race. It's going to be a new one completely. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
We're going to call this, you may have sensed that I've got a theme for this particular, this is the Daffodus Demon.
Pickle.
Right, exactly. You know what? I must be getting really, predictable in my old age because you just called my joke. This despicable demon has a particular hatred for the puka, who make a habit of tricking and humiliating. We'll give it a unique ID. Save that. And we gave it its own description. Now, one of the good things about Hero Lab is you don't have to reinvent the wheel necessarily. You can pull information from existing stuff and reuse ability. So this is a demon. We're going to give it a outsider type. We'll give it a subtype. Here's a bunch of different subtypes, and you can just check as many as you want here. There's even select all and select none if you really wanted to be crazy. Last year, we selected all item powers for a specific magic weapon that they're at. Let's not be that crazy for this example, though. So demons are usually chaotic and evil.
There's demon.
And demon, yes. Evil.
That's what there it was.
And you know what? I'm also going to give it air because he's a duck.
Okay.
Race roll, that's not important. Favorite class, no. We need to give it some hit dice. We'll make Daffodus is pretty badass. We'll give him 9 hit dice. Default starting hit points. There's probably some average number that I'm supposed to enter in here, but I'm just going to say 45. Strength. Daffodus doesn't strike me as particularly strong, but we'll give him 4. He's very dexy, very hard to hit, so we'll give him 12 there. These are the modifiers above 10. And he's also really hard to destroy. Not so bright though. And he can be tricksy. We'll give him 2 of those. Speed, fine. Bonus feats, nah. Bonus feats granted. Okay. This is where we add. Yes. These are feats that are, bonus feats is probably not the best way to term these. These are the feats that he comes with as a race. So he's got 9 hit dice, means he's got 1st, 3rd, 5th, 7th, 9th. He's got 5 feats, right? So let's pick some feats. For this purpose, we're going to pick random feats. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. -5. Natural armor bonus. How tough do you think Daffodus should be?
He takes shotguns to the face.
Shotguns to the face, tough? Shotguns are touch attacks in Pathfinder. Natural armor doesn't help versus that.
True.
Let's give him 6. Race, he is a NPC race. Challenge rating, CR9, pretty good dex, and it's going to have high AC, so we'll give him 6. He's medium. I don't see him being bigger than that. He giggles to himself. No common language. Now, here's where I was talking about reusing existing stuff. So, natural attacks. He's probably got a wing attack. We've already defined this for another monster, so it's there for you to use. When you select that, this prompts you to give a number of attacks. He's got 2 wings, so we'll give him 2 wing attacks. And give it some damage. He's medium. I think normal wing damage is 1d4 for a medium creature, but we'll give him 1d6 because we want him to do badass. Racial special abilities. This is where you add things like grab and lots of other stuff. The reason why I think of grab is because we're going to give him a grab attack. RA grab. You can see there's several different grabs here, and they've all got different unique IDs. In general, if there's one that doesn't have, that's just, RA grab or something simple like that, that's probably the standard one, which you should use. It's kind of annoying, but a lot of people make their own specialized grabs, which clogs things up, in my opinion. So grabs have targets. What kind of attack does the grab? Well, he's only got one kind of attack, right? His wings. And we looked at the unique ID of that earlier. That was W wing. What else should we give? Any other? Let's give him the summon ability, because he's a demon. Demons summon stuff.
And fly.
Fly. We will handle that in a second. Okay, so summon, RA summon. This is actually, when you bootstrap things, you can give them certain tags as they're bootstrapped, which is really useful. That's how you can define how grab, like what attack grab affects, even with a single grab special. So when you bootstrap it with a certain tag, and then that defines the behavior once it's added to your character. And RA summon, you can do the same thing with fields. We're going to give it this summon ability. Level 2, 1d4 plus 1 fiendish dire mallards, 75%. And that goes into live name. Field. Okay. So we've given him 2 standard monster abilities. We've configured them for this specific monster. Let's create a ability just for him, like that makes this monster special. We'll call it Wacky Dodges. Racial specials are in the same group of tags as the race, so new one. When he would be confused, the Daffodus bounces around, flipping head to toe and becoming extremely hard to hit. While in this state, the demon gains a +4 dodge bonus to AC instead of suffering penalties. Alright, Wacky Dodges. I'm moving a little bit fast because we're running a little bit behind. So please forgive me if there's anything unclear. We're going to have a question and answer section after the lecture portion. All right, Whack Dodge. Now this has also got a in-play effect, an activation. We already talked about how that was. Confused it. Scripts. First levels, 10K. Fast. Every time I work fast, I mess stuff up, so I won't be surprised if this doesn't compile. Done if field ability active. 0, and hero child found armor class. Dodge. So dodge bonuses stack with themselves, so we don't need to use a macro for this. Plus equals and I'm using the field value, app value, because if you store things in a field, then it's manipulable from outside. So if there was an enhanced wacky dodges feat, it could add to the app value field, and that would increase the effect of this special. If you just add a static number, then nothing outside can affect it. So this is just future proofing. We have to set app value to 4. Okay. Now we've created this. Let's test it. This is just to weave it into stuff. Also to verify if I didn't have a typo or something. I don't even know what that means. FNSS in non-zero maximum. Okay, well I'll have to look into that later. One of the feats is causing a problem. It was ancestral enmity. We'll just delete it for now. Go away. Okay, back to racial special. Does anybody have a pen?
Yes.
Could you toss it up here? I want to make note of that.
I'll even walk it up to you,
Well, thank you.
because I don't want to impale you in any way.
I appreciate that.
Is this the handout?
Yeah, that's the handout.
I gotta take off, but I want to give you my ticket.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome. I really appreciate this very information.
I do have one quick question before I go.
Cool.
Can you output any of this into a PDF? Like if you create a character or a new creature, can you make a handout from it?
You can print the character sheet to a PDF and then hand that out. Character sheets can also have a portrait included in them, so that might help. But full ability descriptions and stuff are not available on our default character sheet.
Okay.
There are some custom character sheets which work differently. You might want to look those up or design your own, but I'm really not actually that familiar with how you make custom character sheets.
I was going to say, because if we created the Giggling Demon or, whatever we want to name this and printed that out as a handout later, like if it's going to be somebody's familiar, could I actually do that so they would have that resource with them?
You mean like print a character sheet of it? Or?
Well, just the final creation. The character sheet, the stats and all the good.
Yes.
Okay.
You could do that.
All right. Do you need my pen?
I'm sorry. Here.
That's all right. Thank you.
All right, Wacky Dodges is now incorporated. So we talked a little bit about bootstraps earlier. Like I said, bootstraps are the way to add one thing and have it bring a different thing with it, and they both become picks. This is the bootstrap buttons. You can see all those subtypes and things that we picked earlier are already bootstrapped. Now we want to add RA Whack Dodge. It says Wacky Dodges. That's how we know it is around. Okay? Oh, and we should probably give a source to this particular monster. We don't want Daffodish just showing up in every campaign, right? But unfortunately, I hit the test now button too early. Curse my over-enthusiasm. All right, so you can define a new source. Let's define one for this seminar. Aaron text. Aaron text.
You need the ID there, don't you?
That's right. Source name is Aaron test. Source unique ID is Aaron test. There we go. See, HeroLab does its best to steer you back onto the path of righteousness.
Don't have to spell right, just spell consistently. Yeah.
Maybe it's just because it's early in the morning. All right, so we gave it a source. Let's look for it before we turn the source on. If it doesn't show up. Go to configure here. turn on errand tests. Check for it now. Daffodus. There we go. Daffodus daemon. Add it. Okay. We can see all the things that we added, all the subtypes and stuff. We can go to the adjust or the in-play tab, test our wacky dodges ability. Our AC is currently 22. Add it, it becomes 26 and +4 dodge. So that's the basic idea behind creating a lot of complex stuff. Races, you create the racial abilities in the race, then you bootstrap the racial abilities to the race. Classes, you create the class abilities and the class, then you bootstrap the class abilities to the class.
So you go in manually and bootstrap them.
If it's automatically gained by the class, yes. If it's something like rage powers, which are not class abilities, they're called custom special abilities in Hero Lab, then you define a relationship of these custom abilities can be taken by this class, and then the user who's creating the character adds them, because they have a table where they can make choices. So that's pretty much the end of my lecture portion. Do you guys have any questions? Would you like to learn more about eval scripts? Like, what do you want to do?
Do you have the ability to show like lists of macros, lists of all of these things that we, like you can show a list of fields, but if I want to use macros, I don't know what macro to use for anything in particular.
A lot of that you'll pick up while you're going through and looking at other examples. We do have some useful macro examples in help on using the editor. That brings up this, which has got a couple of tutorials in case my wonderful seminar was not enough knowledge for you. And included in this is reference information, which has some basic useful macros and how they consist. If you're not comfortable with macros or you don't have a macro for something, there's nothing that macros do that is unique to macros. They're just abbreviations of code.
Okay.
So you can, the apply bonus macro can be done the same way if you say like, this thing field value equals maximum of this thing field value and whatever value you apply to it. That's basically what that is. You got a hand in the background.
We have a house rule that you get your +3 on your class skills without putting a rank in it. How would I do that for?
Okay. You could do that by adding a mechanic, which is a certain type of pick. Mechanics are unique in that they're added to all heroes. So every time you create a hero, the mechanics that have been defined in any user file and the core are added to that hero. Then your macro could go through all the skills and add to the appropriate field, the field that says we have X number of X bonus from having ranks in it. And then that would be in place for all your characters. Matter of fact, that's something that we cover in the intermediate stuff, which is for eaches. For eaches are a way to set a process where the script runs through all the picks on the hero or all the things that are defined in the game system and either manipulates them if they're picks or gets information from them if they're things. Because, like I said, things generally are not affectable by eval scripts. There are a few exceptions, but don't worry about them.
So the for loops would be a great way of going through. We have a character classic. There's 10 choices, special abilities, and every time they choose it, they can no longer choose it. We want to pull it out of that list.
That's actually something that would be handled by the uniqueness. You would define the different choices and you would make them like uniqueness at once. And then once the user added that ability to their class, then since it's already added once, it wouldn't show up to be added again.
Perfect.
Yes, you got
Stock portfolios, just what is a stock portfolio? Isn't it just a collection of characters or?
a stock portfolio is just a different extension of a normal portfolio.
Okay.
and then you can import stuff from it. So if we wanted to make a stock portfolio of our Daffodus daemon file, we'll call him file. Say portfolio as Daffodus daemon dot stock. So we just made this a stock portfolio. Just like normal portfolios, if you go to, let's open a new portfolio. Oh man, sorry about that. Well, that's one way to get to a new portfolio, right? Portfolio, import hero from portfolio, desktop, Daffodus daemon.stock, open, and then you can import one or more Daffodus daemons. You can have them be allies or enemies. Yes.
Okay, so now that you've created that, is that already in the encounter builder, or do you have to add that to the encounter builder?
You would have to save a stock portfolio of it and then put it in the same file that your user files are in, the same folder.
Okay.
Yes.
I've actually had a little bit of trouble moving the unique items, particularly maybe some of those little items, and into the iPad version, which is what we usually use to play. Are there any like major limitations? Because it seems to work on. I didn't prepare what it was. I mean, actually, I know it was a particular sword that I changed. I was getting a strange error. Is there any like big limitations there in moving that over?
No, you just have to get the user file that you defined that thing in from your desktop where you defined it to the iPad. And
it's almost like I didn't have a necessary library file or something. Maybe some of the checks things didn't come across. Or
You
something
said it was
just
like a particular sword or something?
Yeah, it was a sword that I built from another sword. Like there was a sword and I copied it.
Was the original sword like from some other community file or something?
Could have been.
It's possible that you copied the original sword or something, and then it was relying, like it was using something from the community files, and then when you imported it to the iPad with just your user file and not the stuff that it came from, it might have raised some errors. I don't know specifically unless I could investigate it further. Any other questions?
How do you loop in eval scripts?
How do you loop? Okay. Well, that kind of brings me around to the intermediate stuff. You guys want to start talking about this a little bit?
Unless one has other questions, I don't want to.
I'm good to do it.
Okay.
I've got a question.
Sure.
Is there an ability to define custom macros?
I'm not sure. You would have to work in the XML if it is possible. Here, let me show you what the XML of macros looks like.
Not necessary, I can go around later.
Okay, well, for everybody else's benefit then. Script macro. So here's where we define the different script macros, or the macros that we have. Name, attribute, parameter 1, 2, or 3, depending upon how many parameters it has. And then the result is the code, and it fills in parameters equal to whatever you're doing. So the skill bonus macro is like skill bonus, and then it opens with brackets. It's only got one parameter, which is the unique ID of the skill that you're targeting, so SK acrobat, and then plus equals whatever, because it's added to the bonus field of that. So I'm not sure, but if you created your own like def file, you might be able to define your own macros. I've never had anybody ask that. It's going a little bit deeper than I expected. You can definitely make your own procedures, which are kind of like macros, but for like a longer section of code. Macros, as you can see, just a single line of code. It can't be any more complex than that. But procedures, which tools, show editor, data file. Procedures are a thing that you can define in the editor too, and then they can be multiple lines of code. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the intermediate coding stuff. We talked already about phase and priority, which is when a script occurs, and that can be important because in many cases you have to rely on information having been generated, so you can't be too early. And you also have to manipulate things before the information is passed on and applied, which means you can't be too late. So.
Okay, I see.
We're going to go back to our test file real quick. Okay. So in this case, I chose post-level users. I didn't intend to. I don't usually use the users phases. I use the normals and 10K. For this particular case, we want to err on the side of being too early rather than like too late, because at some point there's going to be the TAC dodge field is going to be added to the final armor class field. And then after that point, if you add to it, it's too late, right? So that's why I chose that problem. Operations, you've seen a couple operations. These are the ways that you can change stuff. You can add to fields. You can add value fields, like we're doing here. You can manipulate or override fields with just an equals. There's also star equals, which is multiplying, and / equals, which is dividing by the following number. And there's one more which is useful only for text fields, which is and equals, which just appends the text which comes after it to the end of the text field. Then for tags, there's 3 different kinds of tag operations. There's operations which give you information. How many tags are there of this type on the pit? Is there or is there not a tag of this type on the pit? Those are the most common ones that you'll see. Then there's ones which change the tags, which are assigning or deleting or replacing tags. You can also, nothing else comes to mind at the moment. I have a brain fart. Then there are, we talked about the field models. All right, comparisons. Let's go back to our class ability. Special, rare. So you can see here, we've got this done if, where it says tag is. That's one of the operations we talked about. Tag is results in a 1 if the statement within is true, or a 0 if it is false. So tag is helper.specDisable. Do we have the specDisable tag? If yes, then it would be 1. So we should stop. This right here is a comparison. Just like you learned in math class, like in first grade, the crocodile points at the bigger number. So greater than, this is greater than this is greater than this. If you've got 2 crocodiles fighting over to which to eat, then they're not equal to each other. That's what that means, not equal. And then of course equal means what you think it means. So this is done if not equal to 0. So if it's present, then it'll be 1, which is not equal to 0, which means we should stop. That's what that means. Switch it over. Done ifs are a special kind of if-then statement. They're kind of an abbreviated one. If-then statements are, if this comparison is true, then do some code, and then they're closed off by an end if. Done ifs are this condensed into one. If whatever comparison, then done, end if. But that's just the general setup. You could replace the done with manipulate a field, delete a tag, whatever you want to do. The most common ones that you'll see for this is like, if we are level X, then add some value to our value. For class abilities that get better as you go up in level.
Like sneak attack and braid.
Like sneak attack and braid and stuff like that.
So is done if a one-line if statement?
Done if is, a one-line if statement. It's lacking the then. It's a special.
But
It's like
if then I can put multiple actions.
you can put multiple actions.
So you can do nested loops or
You
nested
can-
conditionals within.
You can have multiple ifs within each other. Yes. Context. Oh no, wildcards. Talk about wildcards next. So, wildcards are a way to get multiple results. They're represented by a question mark. If whatever matches up to that question mark, it doesn't matter what comes after. So imagine there were like 5 or 6 tags which started with SPC, and we wanted to done if we found any SPC tags on this thing. We could replace the last part of the tag with a question mark. So if we match up to this point, then done. That might be useful. Context. All right, context is important. You've noticed that in some places we are starting with like hero.child.whatever, right? That's us navigating from the initial context to where we want to be in order to change something, okay? So the initial context for eval scripts is always the current pick. That's why here we just say field listName.text. We don't have to navigate anywhere. We're already where we want to be, which is this thing. However, here we want to go to the save will pick. So we have to start on the hero. Then this dot here is called a transition. It transitions to the child of the hero, which is SV will. And then you'll often see more dots after that as you narrow in further. So child of SV will, dot field, and then you define what field it is, dot value, which tells it that it wants to focus on the value that's contained within that field. So each of those transitions is important. You can even transition between a hero and its minion. So for example, if you've got an eidolon or an animal companion, you can set up a eval script to go to the pick on the hero, which represents the animal companion, transition to the animal companion, hero context, and then transition further down to affect something on your animal companion. So transitions and context. Context is important. Tag expressions. Okay. Tag expressions are important in that they control what meets your criteria. They're kind of like a filtering mechanism. So, say that we wanted to, in addition to giving bravery this bonus to the situational, say that we wanted to add a bonus to all weapons, right? We can do that by combining a tag expression with a for each. So somebody was asking about for eaches earlier. For each, then you have to define whether you're for eaching through things or picks, We want picks because we're looking for weapons on the hero. In hero, that's the context. Where, and then following the where is the tag expression, which limits the things that we're going to go through. So we want, sorry, I forgot a bit. From base web. Base web is something called a component. The components are what define the fields that are on particular things. So there's different components that define the different bonus types. There's components that define like the weight field, for example. And these components can be shared between different types of things in what are called comp sets. But here, base web is the component we're going to go through. Where, say we only want to do light weapons. W class dot light. And how would you know this tag? You'd look at a weapon that you added to your hero that is a light weapon, and you'd see, okay, here's the list of tags. This one is light, so the tag group is W class light. Then within the for each, every time it iterates through a new thing, to transition to that pick, or to transition to that context, you go each pick. And then you can transition further to field ATM bone mora dot value, and then add some number. Let's add the same number that we add to our grid. And you can do multiple things. You can even set up further if-thens within the for each. Just make sure that you're transitioning the correct context to test them. So if you're for eaching through all light weapons and you want to tell if this weapon is equipped, then you go each pick, you check the equipped field for this, and then do whatever you want to do. And then when you close the for each, next each, which is the signal for the code to go to the next thing. So let's see if this works. Actually, we need to replace cfighter break so we can see its effects. All right. So tag expressions are most commonly used for for eaches, but they're also used for other stuff, like candidate expressions. Candidate expressions are what decide what is a legal selection. They're used in the UI elements for tables and automatically generated for like your class can use the following list of special abilities. And they're also used for when you have an ability which selects amongst other things on the hero, or picks on the hero, I should say. That's always something that catches me, right? Things is a defined term in Hero Lab language, and it's also a very common word to use. Trips me up sometimes. I hope you'll forgive me. All right, so all right, we have 2 fighter levels. We got bravery +1. Make sure before you pick an hero base web where W class light. Oh yes, okay. I was expecting this to add. Oh, it is added. Good. All right. Wait, that's not right. I think this might be a timing issue. Yes, it is. All right, so this is the important of timing, right? You can see our script worked. If you highlight over the attack bonus, it's showing the calculation of +2 equals 2 base attack bonus +1 morale bonus, but it's the +1 morale bonus is being added too late to be added into the actual final bonus. So that's a timing issue. Let's take this, and we will make another eval script. We'll put it in post levels, 10K. And all that, we'll get rid of this part because that's still applied later. And delete our for each from the second. Okay. This is why testing is important. Yeah. Compile. Oh, that's something else to keep in mind. If you're replacing something and you use test now, sometimes it does wonky stuff. So if you're replacing things, it's usually better to reload the game system. Oh, reload. Now I feel like on the spot. I'm flailing. Still not working. Okay, so time to teach you a new thing about debugs. Debugs are how you can tell what your script is doing. So, go here. Here's the eval script that we want to be working but isn't working. So let's add some debugs. These are just codes which will be output. So debug, we are at the start. Debug. Pass 1, because we passed the very first test. Pass 2, pass 3. And then within the for each, let's make sure that we're actually getting where we want to go, right? This is in the for each, and the current thing is, remember to transition. Also, if you're doing strings, like lines of text, and you want to link up multiple things to that text, you need an and afterwards. So and each pick dot ID string. Okay. File, Control R. This poor fighter guy. And if anybody thinks of any other questions, well, feel free to interrupt me. This is all for you guys. Okay, so to see our debugs develop, we've already enabled data file debugging, floating info windows, show debug output. Okay. So we've got 3 things which are doing the for each. It passes, only one of them passes all 3. It goes through a W touch and a W unarmed. And then the following 2 things go. Okay. Well, it makes sense that only one of them is getting through these because we only want this script to run once on the first copy, which is the active copy. It does seem to be going to the correct pick, which is W unarmed. But
now you don't have the morale bonus in there.
Now I don't have the morale bonus in there. Okay. This is app value. It is being calculated based on X count at final 10,000. This is applying that app value at render 10,000, which is later the final. This is trying to use the same app value at post levels 10,000. So we actually need to push this forward. We need to make it earlier than when we want to use it for the other thing. Power of debugs. Crossing my fingers that I've got it this time.
Or keep us going the way your program works.
Yeah.
Okay, now we have a +3.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Our morale bonus is working. So that's a 4 each. We'll cover Bootstrap conditions as just a final quick thing. I'll show you how they're different than other stuff, and then we will get out of here so that the next people can do some setup. So I talked to you earlier about bootstraps happening with class specials. Specifically, I talked about the Ranger's endurance feat, right? The Ranger isn't supposed to get the endurance feat until 3rd level, right? But unless you specify, as soon as you add the first thing, then the Bootstrap brings it along, and the feat would be added at 1st level. Bootstrap conditions are a way to stop the Bootstrap from happening unless this tag expression is satisfied. So they're very common too. We'll make a copy of the Ranger's endurance feat. Endurance bonus feat. See Ranger endure. That's what we want. Now we can see bootstraps. Click on this. Here's the feat that it bootstraps, and you can notice that when you bootstrap, there's things to the right, 3 buttons. Fields. This is where you set the fields that it's bootstrapped with. Tags, where you set the tags that it's bootstrapped with, and conditions, where you set the conditions upon which the bootstrap activates. This is kind of a complex one. I'd actually forgotten this was as complicated as it was. But this is the tag expression. It looks different than a lot of the other code in Hero Lab. Tag expressions are their own thing. They use different commands. This is count, which is a lot like tag count in normal eval scripts. There's also, you can detect fields, but the fields that you can detect are only the fields on the current bootstrapping pick. So the fields on the thing that is bringing this along with it. The initial context of bootstrap conditions is the container. The container is usually the hero, because most things that you add directly onto the hero. However, if you're adding something to a subcontainer like a magic weapon, then you can force it to look at the hero context instead of the container context. But you shouldn't have to do that very often, so don't even worry about it. All right, so count classes.ranger. It's counting the number of Ranger classes tags greater than or equal to 3. I guess I should have covered that when I was talking about the crocodiles. There's not just greater, you can also greater than or equal. Or, this upward bar means or. Classes, count the classes, KP spellless Ranger. That's a special Ranger alternate class that Cobalt Press did. Greater than 3. Or 3 or more levels of this other Skin Changer class, also made by Cobalt Press. And then these are all considered one single entity to consider, because they're within the parentheses. So this or this or this evaluated, are any of those true? If so, then and, the exclamation point here means not. Not ab replace C Ranger endure. So if these are true and this is also true, that there is no ab replace tag, then we're good to go. The Bootstrap continues. Another thing to keep in mind about Bootstrap conditions is they also have phases and priorities. They're almost always going to be very early because Bootstrap conditions have to occur before the first eval script occurs on any particular pick. If you try and put it later than the first eval script on that pick, then you'll get an error and it won't let you do it. Because the system needs to know that this is live. This has been actually added to the hero before it can do any eval scripts. So the general time to do it is first 500. That's the most common time. Okay? All right, any final questions? I think that was a, oh yes.
One very last one, okay. I understand if you're gonna add your own user content, they tell you to duplicate your game system and then put all your files in the duplicate game system.
That's a good way to do it, yeah.
How do you go backwards? Let's say I have a whole bunch of data files that I want somebody to pass on to somebody. Do they have to go through the same process, or is there a way they can just, I suppose they wouldn't walk backwards. Sorry.
If they want to keep two different game systems, one with your custom files and the other, they can do the same thing, duplicating theirs and then putting your user files in one folder but not the other.
All right.
If they don't want to do that, like yours is the only game that they're playing in, just have them add your user files to their standard folder. And it should work. As long as they, they have to reload the game system once in order to integrate it. Yes?
There's a particular magic item from D&D 3.5 that I was trying to add to the Pathfinder game, healing belt, which heals for different amounts of the encounter charges you use. Is there an easy way to represent the ability to use two charges at once and have that be different from using one charge twice?
Yeah. You just want to, make sure that your players are clicking off the correct number of charges. Okay. Awesome. Break.
I got a little bit more of an advantage.
Oh, okay. We got an advanced question.
You can go ahead and close down, but
now we got to catch it all.
Okay.
Unless it's
is there a way to
profane.
add a tab?
Add a tab. Yes, but that is not something that you do in the editor. That would be something that you'd have to work in the raw XML. As a matter of fact,
what I'm trying to add is there's an old system that's called feats or drawbacks and distinctions. And we're currently adding them as feats, but it screws with everything because you have to modify what's allowable as feats and or number of feats to the characters. We want to add a whole tab that just simply
so
says
they're
go
like
through.
a completely new kind of thing?
Essentially what it is a lot of them are advantages, and then the flaws usually cause some type of reduction in the character itself.
But they have their own pool of how many you take and stuff.
Yes.
Then yeah, I would say you probably want to define a new tab for them. And when you do that, you can set the tables that appear on that tab and give them their own candidate expressions.
Okay.
And give them candidate expressions for like just your special things that you're making.
Right.
Okay.
And then they can just reach out from there to affect the normal hero as normal.
Whatever they have to do, they can do once their pick's on the hero.
Thanks for watching our Gen Con 2015 seminar, Hero Lab, Intro to Adding Your Own Content. Be sure to explore the other videos on our channel, and make sure to check out Hero Lab on our website, www.getherolab.com.